All right, everyone, get ready for today. Today we're diving into something pretty unexpected, I think. I guess you could say it's the world of wholesomeness.
Wholesomeness.
Yeah, wholesomeness.
Okay.
So get this, the article we're looking at is called "The Most Wholesome Video on YouTube Will Make You Cry Happy Tears, Guru Advice."
Okay. That's a title.
It is right. I know it sounds a little, I don't know, maybe a bit much,
I love you
but
cheesy.
yeah, a little cheesy. But stick with us here. The content actually gets surprisingly deep. Like right off the bat, they hit you with this statistic about how a simple smile from a stranger can actually elevate someone's mood, like for the whole day.
Interesting. I mean, I can see how a smile could brighten your day, but the whole day.
Right. It seems like a stretch, but that's what we're going to be exploring. Like, can something as simple as kindness, can that really be a key to like a more positive life? Maybe even like a more fulfilling life?
Well, that's a pretty big question.
It is, right. And, one of the things that this article explores is this idea of kindness having like a ripple effect.
A ripple effect.
Yeah, so it's not just about the person you're like directly interacting with,
Yeah.
but it's about the wider impact your actions can have, those ripples.
Oh, I see. So like how one act of kindness can sort of spread outwards and affect more people than you initially intended.
Exactly. And they illustrate this, they illustrate it with a really powerful story, actually.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's about this small town that comes together. They rally around a family who had lost their home in a fire.
Oh, wow. That's awful.
Yeah, a really, really tough situation. But I don't know, it's kind of amazing how this group of neighbors, a lot of whom didn't even know each other that well, they came together and they offered everything, like shelter, clothing, food, whatever the family needed.
That's really incredible. The outpouring of support in a time of need. It's really heartwarming.
It is. And the thing is, it went beyond just like that practical support, the ripple effect. It actually ended up strengthening their entire community because they formed these new bonds, like the trust and the connection just grew stronger after that.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do we hold back on doing something kind just because we think it won't make a difference?
Right. Like, oh, it's just a small thing. It won't matter. But this story shows that even those small acts, those can have a way bigger impact than we might realize. We might not even see it sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good point. And this idea of underestimating the power of kindness, it kind of ties into this other point the article makes about how kindness is actually a strength, not a weakness.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I'll admit, like, there's a part of me, and maybe this is just me, but there's a part of me that worries that being, like, too nice can make you vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, like, what about those situations where people try to take advantage of you?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, if you're too kind, people might walk all over you.
Yeah, exactly. Does the article address that at all?
It does, and it tackles this idea by talking about something they call it a pure heart.
A pure heart.
Yeah. Now, I know that might sound a little, maybe a little cliche, but hear me out. What they're getting at is not that you should, ignore all negativity or let people just walk all over you. It's more about like approaching life with this, I don't know, this inner peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Choosing to act from a place of love and integrity, even when things get tough.
So it's not about being naive.
Right.
It's about finding that balance, not letting cynicism like harden your heart, but also not being naive to the realities of the world, just like walking that tightrope.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's about being strong and kind, recognizing that true strength comes from choosing compassion, even when it's hard.
Okay, I can get behind that. So that's kind of the mindset piece, right?
Yeah.
But the article goes on to talk about the benefits of actually practicing kindness, right? Like, are there tangible benefits to all this?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's not just feel-good fluff. There's a ton of research that shows acts of kindness can have real, measurable, positive impacts.
No way. What kind of impacts are we talking about?
Well, for example, studies have shown that when you do something kind for someone, your brain releases all these endorphins.
Endorphin?
Yeah, those are like the natural mood boosters and painkillers. It's like giving yourself a dose of happy chemicals.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
It is. Plus, kindness can lower stress hormones, improve your heart health, and even boost your immune system.
So being kind is good for your mental and physical health.
Exactly. It's like this win-win situation. You make someone else feel good, and you get all these benefits, too. I mean, that's pretty wholesome, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But it doesn't it go beyond just the physical stuff? Like mental and emotional benefits too.
Oh, absolutely. The article talks about things like forgiveness and letting go of grudges, which can be, really freeing from a psychological perspective.
Forgiveness, huh?
Yeah, think about a time when you truly forgave someone. What was that like?
Hmm. Let me see. I guess there was this one time a coworker really messed up this big project.
Nah. Oh.
Yeah, it was bad. It ended up meaning like a ton of extra work for me. And I was so angry for weeks. Like I was holding on to all that anger, that resentment. But eventually I realized that it was just like weighing me down.
Yeah.
So I decided to forgive her.
You just decided to let it go.
Yeah. And honestly, it wasn't even for her. It was more for me.
That's really interesting.
It was a huge relief. It felt like this weight had been lifted.
Yeah.
I felt lighter, more at peace, and our working relationship actually got better too
Yeah.
because I wasn't carrying around all that baggage anymore.
So you're saying like the act of forgiveness, it actually freed you from those negative feelings?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. And that's really what the article's getting at. Like holding on to anger, it just takes a toll on us. But forgiveness, even if it's just for your own benefit, it lets you move on and experience more inner peace.
Yeah. No, I totally get that now. So, okay, the article's made a pretty good case for why kindness matters and how it's actually a strength. But does it give any advice on how to like actually be more kind?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's packed with practical advice. And that's what we're going to unpack in the next part of our deep dive. So, one of the things that really stood out to me in this article was how acts of kindness, like individual acts of kindness, can actually like contribute to bigger cultural shifts. It's kind of a fascinating idea, right? Like our choices, even those small ones, can actually shape societal norms over time.
So like if enough people make an effort to be kind, it can actually like create a more compassionate and ethical society.
Yeah, exactly. And the article uses this interesting example to illustrate this. It talks about societal trust. Like think about how crucial trust is for any community or any relationship. When people consistently act with kindness and consideration, it creates this sense of a sense of security. It encourages cooperation and it strengthens like the very fabric of society.
Almost like kindness is contagious,
Yeah.
right? Like one person's kindness inspires another, then another, and then suddenly you have this ripple effect,
Yeah.
and it goes way beyond like just your immediate circle, and it creates this culture where people feel, I don't know, they feel safe to be vulnerable and to support each other.
Exactly. And this idea of cultural transformation through kindness, it's not just theoretical. The article points to some real world examples like businesses that really prioritize ethical practices and compassionate leadership. They often see a significant increase in employee morale and customer loyalty too.
Which makes sense, right? Like if they feel valued and respected, they're going to be, more engaged,
Yeah.
more productive, and customers are obviously drawn to businesses that reflect their values. So
Yes.
it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. And the article suggests that this same principle, it could apply to other areas of life too. Like our education system. Imagine a world where schools focus not just on academics, but also on fostering empathy and integrity. What if kindness and compassion were like woven into the curriculum?
Whoa, that's an interesting thought. It makes me think about how we often emphasize competition over collaboration in schools, right? What if we shifted the focus to teaching kids how to connect with each other on a deeper level, to understand and value different perspectives? I mean, that could be transformative.
It could. The article mentions some schools and programs that are already incorporating these principles into their teaching methods, and the results are they're really encouraging. Children who are taught to be kind and compassionate from a young age, they're more likely to grow into adults who contribute positively to their communities.
Makes you wonder what the world would be like if we all had that foundation of empathy and compassion. But even if we didn't get that kind of education growing up, it sounds like we can still try to cultivate those qualities ourselves, right? Like in our interactions with others.
Oh, definitely. The article really emphasizes that each of us has the capacity to make a difference, through our daily choices. It's about aligning our actions with our values, even when it's tough. It's about remembering that even small acts of kindness, they can create these ripples that go way beyond what we can see.
Okay, so we've talked about the broader, like, societal implications of kindness.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to get back to like the individual level. What are some practical steps we can take to cultivate more kindness in our own lives,
Yeah.
and start creating those ripples?
That's a great question, and it's something the article addresses directly. It's not about some big, grand gesture. It's more about the small, consistent choices we make in our everyday interactions, and that's what we're going to delve into in the final part of our deep dive.
So we've talked a lot about kindness, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
How it can ripple outwards, how it can be a sign of strength, not a weakness, and even lead to those amazing benefits, right, for
Yeah.
ourselves and for others. But now I'm really kind of curious about the nitty gritty. How do we actually like put this into practice in our lives?
Well, the article it emphasizes this idea that cultivating kindness and a pure heart, it's not about some grand sweeping gesture. It's more about like the small consistent choices,
Yeah.
that we make every day in our
So
interactions.
it's not about me like single-handedly solving world hunger or anything.
Right. It's more about those little moments where, you have the opportunity to choose kindness over indifference, compassion over judgment.
I like that. It takes the pressure off a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect. It's more
Yeah.
about making that effort
Yeah.
in those little moments,
Mm-hmm.
the ones that make up our day.
Exactly. And the article actually points to mindfulness as one of the most powerful tools we have.
Mindfulness. Okay.
Yeah, for cultivating kindness, it's about being present in the moment,
Hmm.
aware of our thoughts and feelings, but without judgment. When we're mindful, we're less likely to just like react impulsively, out of
Yeah.
anger or frustration. Instead, we can create space to respond with more intention and compassion.
So it's like hitting the pause button right before
Yeah.
we react.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Giving ourselves a chance to choose a kinder response rather than just like
Hmm.
firing back with whatever comes to mind first.
Exactly. And the article suggests some simple practices for cultivating mindfulness. Could be as simple as taking a few minutes each morning to just sit quietly, focus on your breath, and
Yeah.
just observe your thoughts without getting carried away by them. It's like starting your day with a little bit of inner peace, which can then, ripple outwards into your interactions.
I've tried that before actually, and it's amazing how much of a difference just the like few minutes can make. You kind of face the day with a little more calm, more clarity. But what about those times, when we mess up,
Hmm.
when we react impulsively, or maybe say something we regret? The article talks about self-reflection, right?
It does, yeah. Self-reflection is key. It's about taking the time to examine our actions and our motives.
Yeah.
Asking ourselves those tough questions like, did I handle that situation as well as I could have? Was I being kind to myself, to others? And journaling can be a really powerful tool for
I
this.
could see how writing things down would help you process those situations, maybe identify like patterns in your behavior and stuff.
Right. And it's not about like beating yourself up for your mistakes.
Yeah.
It's more about learning from them, growing, striving to be, a little bit kinder, a little more compassionate each day.
So mindfulness and self-reflection, those are kind of like the inner work of kindness, right?
Yeah.
But the article also talks about outward focused actions we can take too, right?
Right.
Like setting kindness goals.
Yes,
Uh,
setting specific kindness goals, that can be huge. The article actually suggests challenging yourself to perform at least one random act of kindness every day.
I've tried that before too. And it's amazing how it just shifts your whole perspective. You start looking for those opportunities to just like brighten someone's day.
Right.
And it makes you so much more aware of the needs of the people around you. It doesn't have to be anything big.
No, not at
Mhm.
all. It could be as simple as complimenting a stranger,
Yeah.
letting someone go ahead of you in line,
Mhm.
or even sending like a thank you note to someone who made a difference in your day. It's all about those little sprinkles of kindness. They add up over time.
I love that image of sprinkling kindness. It feels so much um, more doable than trying to make some big grand gesture.
Yeah.
But what about those times where we're struggling to understand where someone else is coming from? Like maybe they're being difficult and we just can't relate to their perspective. Does the article offer any guidance on that?
It does. It emphasizes how important it is to educate ourselves about empathy and emotional intelligence. The more we understand human emotions, and how to connect with others on that deeper level, the more naturally kindness will flow from us, even in those challenging situations.
So it's about going beyond just being nice
Right.
and actually trying to like step into someone else's shoes, see the world from their perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And there are tons of resources out there that can help us with that. Books, podcasts, workshops. The more we learn, the better equipped we'll be to navigate those tricky interpersonal situations. With grace and understanding.
That's really helpful advice. But before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on one more point that the article makes about volunteer work, community service.
Yes. I mean, there's really no better way to put kindness into action than by giving back to your community. It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected, and that even our small contributions, they can make a difference.
And it doesn't have to be a huge time commitment or anything.
Not at all. To be volunteering at a local soup kitchen, once a month, donating to a cause you believe in, or even just like helping an elderly neighbor with their groceries. Every little bit counts.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that kindness isn't just this like abstract concept,
Yeah.
It's a muscle, and we can strengthen it through practice.
Absolutely. It's a choice we make every single day in big ways and small.
And the more we choose kindness, the more we contribute to creating a world where compassion, empathy, and love prevail. And honestly, what could be more wholesome than that?
I completely agree.
Well, to all our listeners out there, as you go about your day, we encourage you to ask yourself, how will you weave your own threads of kindness into the world today? Until next time,